Very good morning, Eswatini. It's a wet and a wonderful start to the day as we head into day two of these pouring showers outside. And it requires a lot of attention, whether you love the sound of raindrops on your roof or you are braving the cold, or rather the roads this morning. It is very, very clear that this weather is demanding that you may grab your umbrella or keep your headlights on if you'll be driving on these roads. But most importantly, or let's say first and foremost, it requires you to start your day by watching Kusile Breakfast Show. Surely that should brighten up your rainy morning. I'm Sifiso Shumnakbili Ngumale, and over the next hour, we want to take you through a curated journey of the day's biggest headlines, both here at home as well as across the globe. From the latest updates in our local newsrooms to what's making waves internationally, we want to set the tone for your day with the insights that really, really matter. We'll also keep you moving with the latest traffic updates before diving into today's headlight, which is an engaging conversation with economist Sanele Sbiya, where we want to unpack the state of Eswatini's economy. We start this week with a promise by the Minister of Finance, Honorable Neil Reichenberg, obviously promising the country that there will be an 8% growth this year, 2025. And most importantly, how does this shape the lives of ordinary citizens like yourself and me? So stay with us. It's going to be an informative, thought-provoking ride. Let's get started by looking at some of the leading headlines this morning on our major newspapers. I beg your pardon. All right, we get started by looking at the leading stories on the front page of the Eswatini Times. The big story there: Victor's wife loses Eswatini mobile shares case, fails to convince court to declare transfer of shares invalid. Judge says princess does not have right standing to interfere. Another story: aunt finds missing nephew dead in house. And on another one, only 53 of 601 schools submit FPE claims. And ex-judge has been arrested for EWSC pipes damage. That is the front headlines on the Times of Eswatini. Moving over to the top stories on the Times of Eswatini Sports. Following Prince of Wales chaos, Nopgiri's raise safety concerns. Some fans misuse wooden club, which holds significant cultural importance. We do see on that photo referee Wandile Mamba on the left, an unidentified fan brandishing a Nopgiri. Match Commissioner Mbongeni Shongwe and first and second assistants Patizwe Ndlangamandla and Linda Mkhatshwa, who are behind, following the Hoho Regional Ingoyama Cup finals at the Prince of Wales Sports Ground. They say that the Nopgiri has raised significant safety concerns regarding its presence in stadiums. On another story, Bull Star has been discharged. This is Mbabane Highlanders manager Makosonke Gama on the photo there. Sandile Ngampalala going towards the right, and Vusi Vilagati and Sibahle Sugati. They are at the Mbabane Government Hospital, where Sugati has been discharged from hospital after spending 2 nights. On another story, over 55,000 Emalangeni salary for Enin in Ghana. Dreams delayed are not dreams denied. That's right. On another one, EA Sports FC Men's Team of the Year, CR7, Messi, Jude Bellingham among the top nominees. And Sunderland, Pirates Mbata. Moving along to the Eswatini Observer, these are the front page headlines. Princess Lungile loses court bid. Full stories on page 3, where it speaks to the court that has ruled that the late Victor Gamet's wife does not have right to institute legal proceedings in the sale of Eswatini mobile shares to PSPF. Another one, heavy downpour hits Mbabane. This was a traffic jam at the entrance for Mbabane bus rank during the rush hour following the heavy downpour that was experienced yesterday afternoon. And that's according to the Eswatini Meteorological Service, which speaks to the rain that is expected to subside tomorrow on Wednesday. On another one, Mozambique fugitives. Chief Maliwa warns on possible invasion and man murders aunt for calling him livezandlebe. Moving over to the sports headlines, still on the Eswatini Observer. Big story, hot potato for Ingwenyama Cup. We are ready. Wanderers afraid of losing players to other teams. Nyanga blames fans for not playing their part, and the team's participation is currently in limbo. Mamba Leopard in 100,000 Emalangeni Crunch Decider. Two-horse race there as they race for that carrot. On another one, Caleb, new Pirates coach. They mean business as Moneni Pirates have pulled off a major coup in announcing the appointment of Caleb Ngwenya as their new head coach. Let's cap it off by looking at the Eswatini Daily News headlines this morning. On the front page, no child should be neglected, especially overseas. Kusho Umlisa Ngwenyama. On another one, Princess Lungile loses court case. Court says she has no grounds to interfere in the sale of shares rather. On another story, rising river levels prompt caution amid recent heavy rainfall. And on the Eswatini Daily News Sports, these are the headlines. Caleb sails into Buckship. It is new beginnings for him as the veteran former Mbabane Swallows mentor joins Moneni Pirates, replacing, of course, another expert coach, Christopher Enin. Bull is set to unveil local director, and Chiefs is working hard to bring in new players. Those are the leading headlines on our three major newspapers in the Kingdom of Eswatini. Let's go for a net break. We will return and go through our local news. Don't go anywhere.
Sabatandi ukuthi njengalokhu sivile sive sithi khulumeni.
Nebengosilehlena titindzaba tesiswati tifundva ngisifiso shumi nakubili nxumalo liphini landvuna ngikhulu imphungathu lisile dladla selibongeleke bantfana labazuze luhlelweni lelihhovisi lakhe lwekuncwadzisa imindeni leholwa bantfana labashiwe batali ngemakhono ekusungula emabhizinisi labangatiphilisa ngawo. Ngikhuluma-ke imphunga ithi emakhosi abatfume ukuthi banakekele sonke sive semaswati kubede umfana loyinsanzane. Kanti-ke lo mcimbi wekuphothula kwabantfana labasihlanu bawubanjelwe ehhotela le-The George kaManzini kunembiko.
Lo hlelo lolacala nga-2020 selizuze imiti lendlulako ku-660. Ethula inkulumo yakhe imphunga Kusile Dladla ithi emakhosi abatfume ukuthi baqinisekise inhlalakahle yalo lonke eliswati.
Ingwenyama isitshelile yathi angifuni kube nomfana longathi uphila kamadini. Angeke ke niphuma isendele itendele itfumathini. So lokhu nje bantfu bami lenikubongako ningidakwendlulisa ngikwedlulisele kuye ukuthi silo sikhulu njengalokhu wasithuma ukuthi kubede umfana lotiva intsandzane konke lokhu lenikucelile ndakutfola because asifuni lokuthi lo msebenzi bese nehluleka ngendzaba ukuthi nite i-seed capital. Sifuna ukuthi nisebente nitoba sibonelo nakulabanye ukuthi uma utimisela anything is possible. Uma utikhandla emsebentini anything is possible.
Lokhulumele batali Jerry Masuku ubulale emabhodlela evisini leliphina mvunankulu ngekunaka abantwana labeswele. Masuku uncusela abafundi ukuthi bakukhuthalele ukusebenzisa emakhono abo kude baphile.
Ngifuna ukusho ke kini lokho ukuthi certificate Tiyohlala elibonzeni. Kodwa nine niyowenda umsebenzi. Nine anawuma elibonzeni njengetifiketi. Certificate itende tabe hlete elibonzeni dithi nine nathi nangumsebenzi na.
Labantwana labe baphothula abachamuka enkundleni yasemotshane emafutheni kanye nakalamgabi kanti bathole emakhono ekuluka inhloko kwentata ingalo kanye nekupendabuso phecelezi makeup. Lokhu limele bafundzi ubongale lovisi ngekuthi libafundisele bakibo laphinze labasekela ngetinkukhu.
Bantu abakithi sengitawukhona kubanaka. Ngicela lokhu losendele kona make ungadzinwa. Baningi banifana la ngephandle labalidzingako lelisito losinikete lona.
Kungmanje ngaphansi kwalolu hlelo imiti lengu-72 izuze tinhlanyelo kude ibe netingadze, imiti lengu-66 yazuza timbuti kanti lengu-13 izuze tinkukhu letingu-78. Etindzabeni kubikano Telesithole nginabongani Masuku Sisebe George Kamanzini.
Tingamashumi lasihlanu nesihlanu 55 tikolo lesetimikisile luhlwa lwebafundzi labadzinga kubhadalelwa nguhulumende tikolo temfundvo. Lokho kuvakele ngendvuna yetemfundvo umhlonishwa owenqumalo lochazile ukuthi litiko lisebente ngekudikhandla ekuthenini ke kube nesiciniseko sekuthi nakuvulwa tikolwa imali lemele ibhadalwe litiko ibese vele ibhadelwe.
Bohe teacher bayaphuta lokusubmit. Nyalo nje bengiyochecka lapha la lokuyela bakusubmitile ukhanze ukuthi bente ama-errors ukhanze ukuthi mhlambe basho inombolo etinkulu kufuna ke litiko liphinde lijikise likubisele emuva. Lokungikhuluma nje tikolwa letente kahle konke kwaphelela kahle ting 53. Kepha lenzaba lena gulu utawukhumbula sikhathi ngicala ngikhuluma. Bohe teacher abangibambisi. Nase ngikhulumile nje nabo kutafuna vele ngigcine sengikhipha le list labo head teacher labanga submit labendela ama errors noma bese kubonakala ngazi ukuthi nguhulumende lo ngakhona ukhipha imali ngesikhathi kanti letinto tiyaphutwa lokusubmitwa this noma setisubmitiwe kube nema errors lamanengi nase clicker checking lokusho ukuthi tikolwa nje nyalo nje sitakubhadala only 53 schools of which lapho it's about 8% compliant. Kubhlunge lokho nyanyalo ngiyacela ngosabo head teacher aningibambiseni noma phela bese kubonakala ukuthi awu litiko alende kahle kulelo kuphuphuka lokukhola kwentekile recently eyivele sisatobuka ukuthi sibambisana kanjani noma solo nale ma contract lasilekelela satozama ukuthi sibhadale sinenkinga nje vele lapho egule ngayithinza nakusasa ecabinet sibonakala sithinze na finance sibungaba kuhle lo singasithi vula tikolwa tibe leto tikolwa leto sethi sitakele but ke vele kunetinkinga kunema challenges ke kulelo hlangothi ngepha ngiyathemba lokuthi tangibambise ecabinet sitaphuma nalo likhambi.
Indvuna litiko letekulima umhlonishwa Amandla Chawuka ithi inhlelo leseticalile etiko tekukhulisa lizinga lekukhicitwa kwekudla tihambisana netinhlelo tekumelana nesimo sekuguquka kwesimo selitulu. Indvuna ithi lo msebenzi utawuphumelelisa kwakhiwa kwemadamu latawusita ngemanti etimeni ngele tibucayi tekushisa lokukhulu. Ikuvete lokhu mayichaza ngetinhlelo tekwenyusa lizinga lekudla lapha eveni.
Live leSwatini lidzinga ukuthi likhicite ummbila longu-140,000 metric tons ngeminyaka kude kube nekudla lokwanele. Kungmanje live lisengakakhoni kufika kuleli nani. Litiko selisungule tinhlelo letimbalwa letitawucinisekisa ukuthi live libanako kudla lokwanele. Indvuna yelitiko letekulima umhlonishwa Amandla Chawuka ithi letinhlelo tihambisana ngco nensayi litiko leliniketwe yona ngemakhosi.
Sineke njengelitiko sive kahle ingwenyama kule nkulumo yayo. Sinehlelo lapho khona sithole 183 million lesithi i-livestock improvement project lapho khona sitawulima tinkomo noma ke sitawufuya tinkomo netimbuti ngendlela lenebuchwephesha ekhathi yente ukuthi sikhulise lo mkhicito wethu kwekucala siphinde sikhicite nale quality sikhulise le quality yale tinkomo nale timbuti. Sitawakha i-breeding station sende artificial insemination leyo mali sesiyitholile 183 million kuya ka-AU. Sesivele leyo project sayilonje elibuleni seyiqalile yasenjetwa kuyaqala nje yasenjetwa eMbisi Farm kuchuba leyo project. Lenye i-project lesivele icishe ibonakala ukuthi ibhekapi i-project lesithi SAPEMP lapho khona sithi smallholder development project lapho sithi abalimi ukuthi balime ama-vegetables bafake bo-irrigation infrastructure. Sinemali-ke lapho lenganga 828 million loyo lesitholeka nayo i-organization kuthiwa i-IFAD isinikete 500 million we-grant. Lokunye-ke ngilokhu bese silima ngale ndlela letawenta ukuthi sikhone kumelana nale simo lesi ngoba nakungakabi isomiso kuba sangcotho kube ngilokwa nalokho. Konke lokho kudinga ukuthi kunema-technologies la khona nyalo lesingathi siwa-implement. Leli hlelo lana lesithe i-SAPAMP leya 828 million la ekhathi kulo ifaka lokuthi sikhone ukuthenga nako lesithi ngama-tunnels noma ngama-shade nets uthi na ulimile ulimele ngaphansi akuqhamuka sangcotho ukhone ukuthi usinze ngaleyo ndlela. So already lama programs la khona ayatifaka leti ndlela tokulima ngendlela esawukhona kumelana nesimo lesiguquguqukako selitulu.
Umgomo welitiko letekulima lomusha uveta kutsi litiko litawenabisa kwakhiwa kwetinkelepha emakhaya kuletinye tinhlelo kute balimi bakhone kuchubeka nekukhicita noma ngabe sekunesomiso. Etindzabeni kubika Sondomlangeni, Ngikumathapha.
Kutemidlalo losabambe kuba ngumphathi wenhlangano ye-Premier League of Eswatini Petros Vilakati uthi emacembu alahlekelwa imali lenkhulu ngekungadiphathi kahle kwebadlali uma basadlala umdlalo webhola. Uthi-ke lokhu kuphocelela ukuthi bathole emakhadi labovu kanye-ke nemacembu abo ahlawuliswe imali. Vilakati bekakhuluma ngemuva kwekuthi kusuke umsindvo emkhatsini kwebadlali beMoneni Pirates kanye nebe Ezulwini United lokwenteke ukuthi Nompembe agcine akhokhe emakhadi labovu lamane.
Angibekise uthole ikhadi lelibovu ngekuthi ushayele omunye umdlali. Lo mthetho uyasiniketa emagunya ukuthi lo mdlali loyo nelicembu lakhe singachubeka simcharge noma simbeke icala ngetulu kwale punishment la itfolile ukuthi angasanikwa lithuba lokucedzela lo mdlalo yena le ekhathi enkundleni yetemidlalo. So bona uBembeke le ndlela abafundiseke ngayo bayati ukuthi umdlali nasengimkhokhelele libovu likhadi kusho ukuthi akadiphathi kahle kumele vele kusaphumele ngaphandle. Kumbe silihhovisi la Premier League singacela kubambisana nabo badlali. Siyathi lokho ukuthi sibuya ku break if besingakubeka kanjalo lapho badlali bangakalifuni kumbe lithuba lelanele lekujima. Lokunye utawuthola lekhadi ngeke ukuthi kumbe umtimba wakhe noma i-fitness level yakhe ayisabambisani nengcondo yakhe. Bekacabange kwenta lokhu wakhanza ukuthi so-late lo umdlalo so-quick incenye so-khahlelekile. Indlela akakhahleleke ngayo kube likhadi lelibovu. Lesingakwekhutha-ke ngiloku bese selumiko nje bese uyabuyisela ngoba ukhanza ukuthi nalona bekadlaliseke kabi naye esikhundleni ukuthi avikeleke so uyawugcina naye athola i-red card kanti nguye lona bekadlaliseke kabi.
Vilakati uphindze waveta ngendzaba letsinza emacembu lamakhulu akuleli lapho khona kubonakala ukuthi akwahambeli kahle ikakhulukati ngasebuholini bawo. Vilakati uthi bona bayi-Premier League babuka umtsetfo sisekelo walo licembu bese-ke beluleka ngekuhambisana nawo.
Sikwendile-ke lokho cishe emacembini la siphakamisile isandla noma la sibhalele kodwa-ke siye sicale siwanikete emacembu lulungelo lawo internal ukuthi tindzaba tabo batikhulumise. Nangabe sebeva ukuthi sebadzinga umlamuleli kuba ngilapho-ke sesibasonzeta sithi ake senisonzele senibangani. Kwekucala lesifike sikufune kuba ngumthetho-sisekelo waleli cembu ukuthi umthetho-sisekelo lenisinikete wona thini ukuthi niyaluphatha kanjani leli cembu uthini. Kakhulu seyama kulo mthetho-sisekelo wabo ukuthi umthetho-sisekelo wena uthi netindzaba tenu niyawuticondzisa kanje.
Sitephetsa kanjalo Ndzabate siSwati sibahlola imakethe ngesimo selitulu sitawubuya sibuke simo semgwaqo.
When you choose your adventures, you do so with an open heart and a desire for the unexpected. You embark on journeys to discover new worlds full of wonder. You choose a path to awaken your senses, a world to make you look up and realize just how inspiring this life can be. Arrive and awaken your heart. Explore life in ways only thought possible in your dreams. Discover just how far you'll go to expand your understanding of life's greatest mysteries. There's just one place on this planet with so much to offer. Now is the time for you to have the royal experience in the kingdom.
I'm a very, 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 very happy customer.
I know.
Imali yebhizinisi ayivika wayidla udabula phansi.
Hayi ngimsebenzi yethu lesindako la ekhaya njengoba niyibona limihle nakangaka.
Ngiyagolosha, which is crocheting.
Ngiyakhicita ke noko kakhulu emsebenzini wethu ikhumba.
Ngenda kwegaba emacici nokwegaba entsanyeni.
Ngilungisa emagedlela.
Hello, how are you? We are selling peanuts at 5. Thank you so much. Umdala kubusi. On the strat, babe.
Ngosilenhle siphindze sinamukele ehlelweni kusile breakfast show hlelo lwanga lesibili sinebulukhunyana nje kuchumana nalaba sipopolela simo semgwaqo siyethemba ukuthi tinsambo tabo titawulunga kutse madvute kodwa ke singakanzi kakhulu sitawuchubeka sibuke tindzaba leti chamuka kulamanye mave lethamba embili. Our international news, and on our first leading story, Israel and Hamas wrangled over the details of a deal to halt fighting in the Gaza Strip and return hostages home, as Palestinian officials said intensified Israeli bombardments had killed more than 100 people over the weekend.
Israeli military strikes continued throughout the Gaza Strip on Sunday, hitting Nuseirat in central Gaza, Jabalia in the north, and Khan Yunis in the south. Palestinian officials said intensified Israeli bombardments over the weekend killed more than 100 people, while the Israeli military said the strikes killed dozens of Hamas militants. In Gaza City on Sunday, relatives and neighbors rushed to a home that had been struck, pulling injured people and corpses from the rubble.
We found 3 women alive and 1 young man with broken legs. We also retrieved the body of my cousin's son. Then we started searching for my other cousin, his father, another cousin and his 3 grandchildren, his son's wife and his son and 2 children. They are martyrs, and we don't know where they are.
Meanwhile, indirect negotiations between Hamas and Israel have resumed in Qatar. Hamas said it released a list of 34 hostages seized in the October 2023 attacks that it would return in exchange for a ceasefire. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's office issued a statement saying Hamas had not provided such a hostage list, although media outlets have said they received the list. Netanyahu has said that lasting peace can only occur once Hamas is no longer in power in Gaza, while Israeli critics have accused him of stalling on a ceasefire deal. Hamas militants and their allies seized 251 hostages during the 2023 attack, of which about 100 remain in Gaza. The Israeli military believes a third of them are dead.
Venezuela's government Sunday bubbled down on its intention to arrest the opposition leader who claims he defeated President Nicolas Maduro in last year's election in the form of a threat from the ruling party-controlled Congress. Now, without mentioning Edmundo Gonzalez's name, National Assembly leader George Rodriguez said the unicameral body would order the immediate arrest of the retired diplomat should he step on Venezuelan soil.
The message from the man re-elected as leader of Venezuela's National Assembly was loud and clear.
If he treads an inch of land of the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela, we will request the immediate arrest of that unworthy being and all those who accompany him for their crimes against Venezuela.
Jorge Rodriguez is a powerful ally of incumbent President Nicolas Maduro. Even though he wasn't mentioned by name, there was no mistaking the threat's intended target: Edmundo Gonzalez. That followed the government's announcement on Thursday of a $100,000 reward for information on the whereabouts of Venezuela's exiled opposition leader. Then, 2 days later, Gonzalez appeared in Buenos Aires on the balcony of the Casa Rosada with Argentina's President Javier Milei. He insisted he'd be in Venezuela on January 10th, when the inauguration of Nicolas Maduro is scheduled to take place.
My intention is to go to Venezuela, simply to take possession of the mandate that was given to me by more than 7 million votes.
Gonzalez later traveled to Uruguay and also told reporters he'd be meeting with US President Joe Biden next in Washington. The US and most European governments have rejected the official results of last year's election. They consider Gonzalez the legitimate winner.
Dangerous wintry conditions descended on a large swath of the central United States as a severe storm system trekked eastward, prompting travel and work disruptions from Kansas City to Washington.
Highways glazed with ice and airport runways blanketed in snow. Some 63 million people in the US have been warned of a winter storm, causing temperatures to plunge and making roads impossible.
Watch my feet here. Ready for this? That's what we're dealing with out here, and it's not getting any better, it's getting worse. So get off the roads. Don't be on them, because it's not good, and it might result in something really bad happening. Stay home.
The icy blast is expected to travel over 1,500 miles across 12 states from eastern Colorado to Maryland and Delaware, bringing sleet, snow and freezing rain, which the Weather Prediction Center warns could disrupt daily life and travel at the beginning of the week. Among the hardest hit on Sunday was the Midwest, with havoc on railways between Chicago and New York and thousands of flights delayed and cancelled. Power outages have also left some 20,000 people without power in Missouri and almost 7,000 in neighboring Kansas. Forecasters predict cold air to grip the eastern two-thirds of the country starting from Monday, which could even reach the southern state of Georgia. Schools have also taken precautions, with some cancelling classes and activities on the students' first day back from their winter holiday.
The U.S. Congress certified that Donald Trump defeated Vice President Kamala Harris in the November presidential election, setting the stage for his inauguration in 2 weeks to a second non-consecutive four-year term in the White House.
4 years after the most tumultuous certification of election results in U.S. history, a quiet and orderly process Monday, as the U.S. Congress certifies that Donald Trump won the 2024 election. The new Senate Majority Leader John Thune hailed the victory.
Republicans improved our margins in nearly 90% of counties in the United States and grew support with nearly every demographic group. The Republican coalition is broad and strong and growing. Now the work begins of delivering on our agenda. And Mr. President, Republicans are ready to go.
Despite her loss to Trump, Vice President Kamala Harris fulfilled her constitutional duty of presiding over the certification of the election. Only 2 other sitting U.S. vice presidents have presided over electoral counts after their losses for the presidency. Richard Nixon in 1961 and Al Gore in 2001.
For president and vice president.
In a taped statement earlier Monday, Harris emphasized the importance of a peaceful transfer of power.
This duty is a sacred obligation, one I will uphold, guided by love of country, loyalty to our Constitution, and my unwavering faith in the American people.
One analyst told VOA that duty is part of a long tradition of American leaders respecting the democratic process.
This is her role to play, that she's going to carry it out purposefully and as intended. And that just shows the commitment to a peaceful transfer of power, even and especially if you are the one on the losing end of the election. It shows a strength and a commitment to these ideals, something that we've taken for granted for too long and now need to return to.
But congressional Democrats say January 6, 2021 should not be forgotten.
Far too many individuals have tried to rewrite the history of January 6th, have tried to sweep the truth under the rug and pretend like the day was perfectly fine or even a moment of great patriotism. That is a lie, plain and simple.
In 2022, a congressional committee composed of 7 Democrats and 2 Republicans placed the blame for January 6 on Trump for repeating lies about election fraud and allegedly inciting supporters to attack the U.S. Capitol.
Because we are not fair weather patriots.
But Trump and many of his supporters have criticized the work of the committee as biased and suggested criminal defendants in January 6 cases should be pardoned. Trump will be sworn in for his 2nd term as president on January 20th.
The Biden administration on Monday removed obstacles to India's quest for nuclear power, with U.S. National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan visiting New Delhi and describing the India-U.S. collaboration as crucial for peace and stability in the Indo-Pacific.
India's nuclear power ambitions face one fewer obstacle now, said U.S. National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan in New Delhi.
The United States is now finalizing the necessary steps to remove long-standing regulations that have prevented civil nuclear cooperation between India's leading nuclear entities and U.S. companies. The formal paperwork will be done soon, but this will be an opportunity to turn the page on some of the frictions of the past.
Indian liability rules had posed an obstacle to U.S. companies that hoped to build power plants in India, in that they assigned high liability to builders and suppliers of nuclear power plants in case of accidents. President Joe Biden has elevated Washington's relationship with New Delhi, and in September hosted Prime Minister Narendra Modi at his home for the first leaders gathering of the Quad, 4 nations poised as a counterweight to Beijing. India watchers in Washington say Sullivan's visit launched key announcements in areas like space cooperation, defense, and more, all meant to build momentum for the next U.S. administration, and to let the outgoing leadership make a point.
So I think it really does put a really strong pound point on the fact that India is prioritized there and above a lot of our other partnerships.
And it's a partnership that has grown even amid their differences, like India's continuing ties with Moscow after Russia invaded Ukraine. Rosso listed reasons that he believes security cooperation will stay afloat, and cited Trump and Modi's good personal rapport. The tension this time around, he said, will be economic.
You're going to have less cheering for outbound investments, a lot more pressure in India to buy more American goods, whether it's hydrocarbons or defense goods, the things the government of India actually has control of buying. So the economic side is where I'm a little bit more concerned. I think India will fare better than a lot of our major partnerships in the next 4 years.
The two renew this relationship in January.
That marks the end of our international news. As we cap that off, we make another hopeful attempt to get in touch with our traffic department from the Royal Eswatini Police Service. We do make that after the break. Don't go anywhere.
When you choose your adventures, you do so with an open heart and a desire for the unexpected. You embark on journeys to discover new worlds full of wonder. You choose a path to awaken your senses, a world to make you look up and realize just how inspiring this life can be. Arrive and awaken your heart. Explore life in ways only thought possible in your dreams. Discover just how far you go to expand your understanding of life's greatest mysteries. There's just one place on this planet with so much to offer. Now is the time for you to have the royal experience in the kingdom.
Nomkosihlenhla siphindze sinamukele ehlelweni sivetile ukuthi siphindze sichumana nabehlangothi leli sipopolela imigwaqo emaphoyiseni. Inspector Sehlo Dlamini uyasipha ke lo mbiko nalomhla ekseni. Sikuvusele Nkosi, engabe eMaswati lomhla ekseni waphathelene?
Anguvusele ngiphindze ngivusele nabo bonke lebabukela wona umsakazo wamabona kude iSwazi TV namuhla ekseni. Awu uqinisile imigwaqo yelive sesihlolile ikakhulu nje ke awu ngiyo imvula leqhamuka ngelulaka lesibangela ukuthi imigwaqo yethu ingabi indzawo lenhle yokuhamba. Ngicela ukucala ngalapha endase eshiselweni lapha nawusuka nje ke kaMjuda uthatha nangumgwaqo lo MR11 ungakafiki nje lapha kuna junction ebheka khona epolice station. Umgwaqo wethu ujubekile lapho emaphoyisa ke embube kanye nesive asawuvalile lo mgwaqo loyo kudingeka ukuthi nawuqhamuka ngakamanzini ku direction yakahlathi uvele uqonze straight lapha ngafaya ungene ekhaya edolobheni ushosholoze nelidolobha uyophumela ngale ngesheya ubese uyachubeka ubheka khona ku bomakhonza kuqinisweni nasehluthe. Kanike nakhona ke uqhamuka ngakhona ngalapho ungena edolobheni kuqala. Nawuthatha ke nangumgwaqo lo suka khona kubomakhonza ubheke ngakhona lapha endasi eBongwane nemgwaqo nalapho libloho alisabona umgwaqo ujubekile nalapho kwathi sephela kwekuthi lemvula beyine ngakhulu kunyusa nje ke ukuthi simane sibe nako kubekekela kwathi sephela kwekuthi lamanti bilamanengi la hlanganisa ingwane nasenyamane kulomgwaqo lo ngu DR57 awu akusahambeki lapho umgwaqo wethu uyabhidlika sikhuphukela ngala ngenhla khona ke kaphunga umgwaqo wethu ke nawujika lapha eTricash utawubheka kubosithobelweni awukhoni kufika esithobelweni kwatise ukuthi umgwaqo wethu lapho ngembili emanti ahamba ngetulu libloho alibonakali kwanhlobo kunyusa nje ke ukuthi nangabe ufuna kubheka kubosithobelweni nganiso lapha kubo Tricash yehlela lapha ku junction vele uhambe uyophuma vele khona kaphunga kanti ke kukhona ke lenye indlela umgwaqo lophuma la ngasepostini emoti nawo lapha embili kulesosha lesilandelako nakhona emanti adla emagaloni lapho akwateki ke ukuthi ingabe kwendekeni la ngaphansi lokhu ngikucela nje ukuthi eMaswati angalingi yebo kona sesiuvalile siwabekile ema traffic coins aphinde futhi savala nange red tape kwendela ukuthi eMaswati angawusebenzisi lowo mgwaqo loyo sendela kuphepha kwawo nasiphinde sibuka lapho khona emanti ahamba khona ngetulu kulapha eBig Bend emndobandoba vele nakhona emanti adla emagaloni lapho unusa nje ke ukuthi simane ihambe ngalokukhulu ukucophelela ikakhulu nasezindzaweni letinye lesinyakatibali nangabe ungasaliboni libloho ungalingi usonzele uthi uyafuna kwewela utheste ngemasongo aleyo moto yakho edolobheni lelikhulu ke laseMbabane naselihlola lona sikhanzekwe ukuthi inkungu sisuka nayo la kumalagwane sikhuphuke siphinde sehle nayo sibheke nayo kubosiphoxosini isiyekele naso sesiya kuyawufika lapha edanyini eliphohlo nakhona ke na ukhuphuka ubheke ngakhona kubomanzana nakhona inkungu imbonyile kwatise phela kwekuthi itanayo imvula lesolo inawo lulaka la emgwaqweni ke nawehla la kumalagwane kuhamba kube nemifula lejubako la ekhasi emgwaqweni siyanxusa ke lokuthi litubane ulehlise ikakhulu ngaloke ukuthi lawo mandi lawo ngalo ledleleka ngayo angayikhukhula le moto ngoba utawuthona utitshela ukuthi awu ngitawuhamba mina ngilala ngihlale ngitayele khona kuhamba imoto yakho ibesa isasimi ukhanze ukuthi imoto seyigicikile ngaleyo ndlela leyo emaroboti ke langasebenzi unawaya labukene kanye nalapha emangwaneni nawusedolobheni laseMbabane ngaphandle kwaloko nawuthatha-ke nange umgwaqo lobheka khona esipiki phecelezi longe MR1 nakhona umgwaqo wethu uhamba ube nato tikhawutawo emanti lajubako ekhathi emgwaqweni lenda kwekuthi nawutawuqhamuka ngelitubane lelisetulu uvele ukhukhuleke ubese seyasimalela ngaleyo ndlela leyo tindzaweni ke letinengi sinato ke tikhukhula letingenako ekhathi emgwaqweni letita kanye nawo phela umhlabathi lo ungathi nangabe uqhamuka ngelitubane lelisetulu ungakateleli wakhazeka ukuthi lo mhlaba loyo so uyayenza imoto yakho iluza ibalance ngaphandle kwaloko etindzaweni letinengi emanti ayabonakala emakhaphothi emgwaqweni asavule wona phela ema-potholes lakhona emgwaqweni kunyusa njeke ukuthi nangabe uhamba ngelitubane lelincane ungilophephile usayisebenzisa imigwaco kepha-ke na ungasaliboni ilibloho ungalingi wewele ngileto lengitiphethe elangeni lalamuhla noma-ke nangabe-ke sekukhona-ke lokunye lokuvelako siyawunqonqotha sendele kokuthi sathise wona emaswati
Sibonga kakhulu Nkosi sithembe ukuthi nemaswati ade vatoka ke leto texwayiso losivetela dona lomhla ekseni sibahlula emakethe bonkosi sibuya sichumana nasane lesibiya somnotho sifuna kubuka umnotho elivela kangwane eminyakeni wa 2025 njengoba nje litiko lawo umnotho indvuna yalo litiko letemnotho neRikenberg ithembiselwe ukuthi ke umnyaka lothembisa kuba mhle kakhulu etindzabeni temnotho.
Renewal of TV licenses for 2024 is now open. Here is a quick reminder. A viewer's TV license costs 180 emalangeni per device. Other accessories such as decoders and set-top box cost 50 emalangeni per device. For traders and repairers, TV license costs 300 emalangeni per business area. And now, to pay your TV license, use these following methods. You can use MTN Mobile Money with the number 76222000 or dial *007 *3 *7 hash. Or you can use Eswatini Imali. And you can pay our TV license at any post office in the country. Another option is you can use any NetBank branch using our TV license account number 119900430037. Don't forget, when paying for your viewer's TV license, reference with your PIN at all times. And when paying for a retailer TV license, reference with your TIN at all times. For more information, call us on 7802-4543 or 34050163 or 34020879. And you can send us a WhatsApp message on 762222000.
Welcome back and thank you for staying with us. Joining us now is economist Sanele Sibia. He wants to help us break down the intricate web of economic trends shaping Eswatini's future. Of course, the Minister of Finance projecting an ambitious 8% growth for the year 2025, the Stabilization Fund in play, and a welcomed upgrade from Moody's to a B2 stable rating. The narrative of recovery and progress is compelling. But for most of Maswati, the question remains, how does this promising macroeconomic outlook address the daily realities of rising costs and strained household budgets? And Lesbia answers all the questions that we have this morning. Hopefully, giving us an idea and, a validation to this optimism that we are being warranted by the ministry. Sanele, good morning to you. Welcome to the program. Really happy to have you this year again. The Minister of Finance projection of 8% growth for 2025 is an ambitious target. Of course, we can agree on that. But what do you see as the key drivers behind this optimism, and how realistic is it, especially in light of global and regional economic uncertainties?
Good morning, Mr. Nxumalo, and good morning to the viewer at home. So what we are seeing as the driving factors on this optimism is the fact that we do have a bit of movement, a bit of traction in terms of financing, in terms of fiscal financing and support coming in through from our development partners, and also we're seeing some improvements in terms of the financial management system within Eswatini. And as you know, that is one of the critical things that we need to be able to do as a country in terms of getting towards fiscal consolidation and then also move towards transparency, accountability. And then once we get to that level, we will be able to move to efficiency, and that will push the multiplier effect of government expenditures even further. And also the Moody's rating also makes Eswatini a destination for foreign direct investment, for foreign direct investors to look into Eswatini and also look at us favorably, and also make sure that they're investing in Eswatini. And then in terms of the realism of that statement, that basic report that we are looking at, that we are referencing, if you look at what the IMF is projecting, IMF projections are putting us at around 3.1, the 3% region for the 2025 fiscal year, while government has us at that 8.5% for that. So when I do my own analysis, and if you look at issues like corruption, we've not done much around that. And then also the government itself seems to be, in my view, communicating two different modus operandi. You have the mega project faction within government, sorry to call them that, but there are those that are pushing towards mega programs, and then there are those that are pushing towards a private sector-led growth. So the growth trajectory, we are not sure where it's going to come from. And if you push towards that mega programs type of planning, then one asks themselves where we're going to get the money from and what that is going to mean for national debt. And then also the issue of national debt in itself, it's not clear where the debt level stands. If you look at one report, it's at 40.5%, another report is putting it at 38%, another at 36%. So the government should come out clear, because those are the matrix that we need to properly make assessments on where the economy is going. And then we also need to deal with corruption. So I would put it at around 5%, my best estimate for this year so far, given the data that we have.
That is one of the things that sort of compelled us to get in touch with you, to sort of get this, idea of how feasible, this optimism is, as they have put it at 8%. You are highlighting something critical right now. We are seeing two factions. Well, they all agree in one thing, really, that we want development. But like you are highlighting, they all have sort of different ideas as to, the rubber that we need to put in ground to realize these ambitions. The mega projects faction, as well as the private sector-led faction. Can't we have a symbiosis or, a sort of balanced dual approach to it, where we can have both these factions helping us achieve our aspirations?
That's the problem with fiscal policy, Mr. Ngumalo. Trying to get to a point where everybody agrees takes time, and the nation does not have the time to give. What we need is a unified government position in terms of saying this is the development and growth trajectory that we are taking this year, because those discussions and debates might take 6 months, and we don't know what the budget that will be presented in February will be telling the nation. And we need to try to avoid a situation where we have one part of government pulling this way and another pulling that way. We do hope that by the time we get to the budget and the end of the budgeting cycle, there will be a bit of a symbiosis, as you rightly put it, and there will be a bit of cohesion within government itself. But right now, the cracks are, the faults are quite visible even for us as analysts who are not within the government machinery and bureaucracy.
It's interesting indeed. You also mentioned national debt and corruption, some of these lingering issues that are yet to be seriously mitigated, and we stand at a dangerous peril if we don't mitigate these. In fact, if we want to be candid, if we want to be frank, all these aspirations mean nothing if these are not sorted out. But perhaps on a more positive side of things, we kept off the year 2024 with still, a promising narrative towards progress and recovery with Moody's upgrade. Eswatini's improved credit rating by Moody's signals progress, of course. But what does this really mean for the economy? Are we likely to see tangible benefits such as increased foreign investment or access to cheaper borrowing?
Access to cheaper borrowing, maybe not, let's not say access to cheaper borrowing, but access to deficit financing will surely be enhanced by this. Government will be able to borrow to finance quite a number of health expenditures. But the issue now remains, as I've pointed it, the number in terms of the public debt. Where do we really stand? Because by the recent medium-term budget expenditure framework, we're at 40.5%, and then if you look at other reports, they'll trail us back to 38%. So we are already just lingering near that 40% mark, and we need to make a decision as a country on whether we are going to go beyond that 40% and what our debt servicing capability will be. And if we go above that 40%, we might actually downgrade a bit on models on that rating. And then in terms of being able to attract direct foreign investment as a country, yes, that is one of the metrics that investors will look into. But investors will look into other issues such as corruption, the ease of doing business in the country, the transport infrastructure. If I come and set up in Eswatini, what is that package that we are going to have? So one should hope that by the time we get into operation, that investor policy should also be operationalized and put into action, which comes out with these new packages and these new deals for investors, for us to be able to leverage completely on that positive rating.
I do want to understand the contrast really between cheaper borrowing and deficit financing, as it were, because you do make the proposition that perhaps it wouldn't really put us towards a path of cheaper borrowing, but rather deficit financing. Would you please enlighten me, at the very least, for what you mean by that?
All right. So when we talk of deficit financing, we talk of basically government borrowing to finance certain things. But whether that borrowing will be cheap or not depends on quite a number of factors. And mostly these interest rates and exchange rates, we don't have control over those. The interest rates are purely and externally determined. So we are not sure whether countries are going to get up to that cheaper level. And if you recall, back in early 2024 in France, during the World Bank Summit and the IMF Summit, it's one of the things that African countries were raising to say, no matter how good we are in terms of paying back our debt, but we still attract high interest rates. So you haven't actually factored in the exchange rate fluctuations. And, with Trump, the dollar strengthening again. So one then asks themselves, what will that mean? It necessarily means you will be able to get the money, but whether it's cheap or not depends on other things.
Quite interesting. Let's get into stabilization fund. You know, it has been hailed as a game changer for ensuring economic stability. Could you explain how it works and whether it is equipped to weather, future financial shocks effectively?
On that stabilization fund, I mean, it's quite unfortunate that the country has to use it shortly, very quickly before it actually accumulates enough funds. We do know that the projections show that the SACCO receipts for this year, or for the 2025-2026 year, will actually decline by a smaller margin, and that's where the government will need to now dig into those stabilization fund, funds to continue sustaining government expenditures at least at the very same level at which they are at in this current financial year. So the sad part there is, yes, for 2025 that might bode well for us, but we do know that SACCO receipts have a trend of going up for like 3 years, and then begin a downward trajectory for another 3 years. And then the question that you ask is, what does that mean for the medium term? In terms of the short term, in terms of this year, yes, the stabilization fund is actually going to help us as a country. But then you ask yourself, what happens in 2026? Should we continue seeing this decline? And what happens in 2027? So what we need right now is for government to come up with other strategies. We know we've seen that import vehicle strategy work, but now we need to find other strategies to ensure that we see that growth in SACCO receipts come 2026. Otherwise, we are going to need to expand our scope for deficit financing, yet we already are very close to that 40% mark. So we do need government to diversify the tax portfolio, and that's something that needs to be done this year and quickly.
Yeah, I'm just, thinking about some of the risks that may be posed by deficit financing. Should there be no, prudent management of, all these developments? Surely we do need that prudent management, as well as, heeding to all the other recommendations that you are suggesting. Hopefully they all make sense and they all heed to that. But thank you so much, Mr. Sbi. I would have loved to, get into private sector and job creation as our parting shot, but time does not allow. But we do understand that enhancing the private sector has been identified as key to creating jobs and stimulating economic activity. Sanele Sbi, our economist, has joined us this morning to help us understand the economic trajectory, which is very positive and optimistic, of course, as pronounced by Minister Neil Reichenberg on Monday. That marks the end of our show today. Thank you so much for staying with us on the program. This has been Kusile Breakfast Show, the Tuesday edition. Roads are wet. We are hoping that you will heed to what was, of course, pronounced by Setlo Dlamini, our traffic update today. Get your umbrella. Those who are driving should heed to potholes and drive slowly. Have a good day. Bye-bye.
whiter than snow, deeper than the ocean, wider than the sea.
Happy New Year, Happy New Year, Happy New Year mbukele Gospel Impact sikuye umnyaka lomusha